In art and in music and other things that we do that are creative, we often go through a phase that a lot of us call the ugly phase. I find that kind of happens in life too. We go through ups and downs, and sometimes it looks really bad. But if we push through with life and with art, by the time we get to the other side, it's really good. In fact, it's often better than we expected. Let's talk about that while I continue painting the underpainting of Crowned with Glory. I'll see you in a minute. So this is Crowned with Glory, and I'm creating her underpainting using acrylic paints over alcohol inks. This phase is often called the ugly phase because I'm painting strategically without making it smooth and blended and all of that, like it's the final layers. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I want to leave expressive brushstrokes. This provides a nice foundation for the refinement that'll come later with oil paints. So, whether in art or in life, facing the ugly phase can be challenging, but it's really necessary. In fact, it's absolutely necessary, and we gain so much if we approach that part of the process with an overcoming, optimistic mindset. So, the ugly phase gives us the opportunity to be courageous. The thing about um, being vulnerable and sharing something that you've created or something that you've written or whatever is that you know that you're kind of opening yourself up. And we choose courage by not giving place to fearful, self defeating thoughts, the fear of the unknown, and the possible criticism that we could get from other people. One way that I cope with those feelings is by reminding myself to just trust the process and be myself. So when I feel self doubt creep in, I breathe deeply and I whisper a prayer and then I just do the next right thing. um, Trust that no matter what goes wrong, one of two things are going to happen. You will either be able to figure out um, where you're going and what you really want to do, even if some mistakes happen along the way. And then you'll enjoy, the victories and the success that you feel in doing that. And then the other option is you might just have to learn from your mistakes. And that's okay too. And that's wonderful. And it's a good thing. And it's something we need to do. So once you do that, then you know what you can do differently going forward. Um, Another thing that I think of when I think about the ugly phase of art and life is it provides us a chance to persevere and defeat resistance. Resistance is a force that we all know too well, but some people might not have heard like the term resistance. So we experience it almost anytime we become determined to do something differently. Anytime you decide, okay, I'm going to turn over a new leaf, resistance to your new way of thinking and behaving shows up with a vengeance. And it can make it really difficult to complete whatever the next process or the next step is in your process. Um, so, this might sound funny, but since we all experience it, so that I don't take it too lightly, I've started to consider it as like a real enemy. And I choose to think of it almost as like a little, not almost, definitely as a little imp who's trying to get me off track. Sometimes it'll show up in the form of like procrastination. And if I really stop and think and talk myself through it and pray about it, I realize maybe I'm being slow to do something because I'm scared that I'm going to mess it up. So then I lay down that fear. I lay down um, my ability to do everything perfectly. It's not a real thing for anybody except Jesus. And He's willing to help us. So then I pray and I regroup, and then we can push forward. Sometimes resistance will also show up in like a million little distractions coming at me. It's crazy. It's like uncanny. Um, we also can be tempted to like look around a little too much. And when we're looking around too much, we start to compare ourselves with other people. And that's never the way, because the only person that we really can compare ourselves to is our former selves and our future self. So, of course, Jesus is the standard for all of us, but in yourself, there's no competition. You just want to try to be better than your former self. And we have goals that we, consider our future self. So, another way that resistance shows up is sometimes we just have really bad habits that slow us down. So we have to reorganize our thoughts and our process. Um, so, however, resistance shows up for you, we can overcome it. But I want to hear in the comments, if you would, let me know what resistance feels like for you. Like, how does it show up in your life? And how do you push back? How do you push through that? Um, for me, like I've said, I pray for help to stay focused. I try to prepare myself in advance and kind of set myself up for success. We can create like regular patterns and like different little regimens that will kind of get us in the right headspace more quickly so that we can complete certain tasks. And sometimes if you find that you're in the resistance trap, like you've fallen into it, don't give up. I've had times where I'm like, dang it, I'm procrastinating, and like the day is almost over. I might as well just pack it up and try again tomorrow. No, do what you can in that moment just so that you win. Even if it's just taking a minute to write down what you can do tomorrow so that you'll start the next day with a good plan. Don't leave yourself open to end up in that same trap again. And don't forget, when you don't fall into that trap, to celebrate that. I think a lot of times we think a whole lot about the ways that we don't get it right. But I'm really trying hard to celebrate the things that I do get right and the times that I do kind of win. So I'm asking a lot of you, but I want to hear in the comments also, like, how do you, or do you celebrate your wins? And if you do, how do you do that? Because I'm learning still to do that well. Um, when we're thinking about the ugly phase, a final little gem that I think we can take from the ugly phase in art and in life is that it produces beauty. We end up richer and better off than we were before we met the challenge of the ugly phase. Whatever that looks like in your life, whatever that looks like in your art. And we learn a lot. We grow more than we realize in that process. We also gain confidence that will serve us in the future when we come up against another trial. And we also encourage and inspire somebody who's watching. We don't even always realize somebody's watching, but somebody's always watching. So you never know how your bravery, how your courage will encourage somebody else and inspire them to become and to be who they really are and to do the things that they're called to do too. Speaking of watching, thank you so much for sticking with me through this video. I really hope you felt affirmed and encouraged, and I hope you enjoy watching my painting process. Stay with me to see some bloopers at the end. I'll be back in just a few minutes. The underpainting in acrylic of Crowned with Glory is done. I feel really good about where she is right now. I'm excited about where she's going. And the next phase for the next video will be oil paints. We'll bring the juiciness, we'll bring the vibrancy, and all the wonderful different ways that we can create amazing color with oil paints. Until then, I so appreciate you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And now enjoy these outtakes. Pray for your girl. Hey, it's Cara, and I am about to keep working on my In art and in life, we often go through an ugly phase. That sounds bad. Next will be the vibrant, juicy oil paints. That's probably, no, it's not my favorite part. My favorite part is the burnishing, because it just goes from like pretty to in just one step. So I'll share that when we're there, but I'm just rambling.